Xbox in panic mode? Is it in like last ditch effort mode? Because once again, a lot of reports coming out this week. Like I saw Jeff talk about it. I saw Eurogamer, a couple other sources. I think VGC post about it as well. About here sometime soon, big Xbox first party titles are going to be going to PS5, and nothing is off the table at all. And then there was also all the reports breaking out this week that COD's going to be going to Game Pass day one, which I brought up the question to myself, where it's just like, can they like legally do that? Because I thought with all the court stuff, I thought part of it was they weren't like allowed to do that for it to go through. Like I don't know. I remember that being a conversation with all the court stuff. I don't know if anything actually like hard happened involving that, where they kind of blocked it. Where it's like you can't do that. I don't know. I remember it being a conversation, And then with that topic, like I said, we did get a question from the last Xbox video that I clipped, where I think again his name was JRam1 said, "Do you as a panel feel the Xbox Series X is underwhelming?"
Yes.
Yes.
The console or the generation as a whole?
See, I guess that is the question.
The console, no. The generation, yes.
Yeah, that's where I was thinking.
That's probably the
generation.
better answer, because the console's fine.
Yeah, the console's solid. I mean, from its previous gen to its current gen, it was an upgrade and everything and whatnot. But in terms of generation of itself, yes, it's been underwhelming.
Yeah.
Kind of on all fronts.
Yeah.
Because, Sony's had its big hitters so far. But
Yeah, they've already had a couple really solid ones. You know?
It's like they've had their big like franchise games come out so far. We've had like Ragnarok. We've had Spider-Man 2. We've had that stuff come out, but it's kind of like, okay, what's cooking now? So now we're just waiting.
Yeah.
We're kind of waiting.
Yeah.
The difference is the waiting on the Xbox side has never stopped.
Yeah, see, that's been the problem.
And I mean, in the few sort of notable games that they had came out, I mean, like Halo Infinite, for instance, its solo campaign was somewhat well received initially, but it had so many other misgivings and things that alongside it when it came out that really brought it down and hindered it from being able to shine literally at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was just going to say, speaking on like Halo Infinite, that was a very high that they got to ride on for about 24 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until they started giving more information out, and then we waited for like multiplayer stuff, and nothing happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like that's really been like their only like real notable kind of high that they've had. I mean, they've had, Xbox had a couple of, fine first party launches like Psychonauts 2 or, Forza Horizon 5 and stuff like that. But it's like, again, it's still not your heavy hitters. Like, no matter like what you want to try to argue, it's still not your heavy hitters.
Psychonauts was a cult following, which did well and still a good game. Forza is their personal sort of like sports game.
Yeah, which is going to do well.
It's always
audience.
Solid.
Yeah. So it's just, it's like, what else do you have? Like, you launched Halo Infinite as a multiplayer standalone by itself, launched it early because, like, everything, it wasn't supposed to launch when it did. Then you have the campaign shit that came out where it's like you couldn't even do freaking co-op for, God, what was it, like 6 months? I don't remember. It was something stupid.
It was a pretty long time.
So it's just like, as a physical piece of hardware, I think it's an awesome piece of hardware, especially when you just factor in like little fun facts, like, you can enter developer mode on it and basically turn it into like an emulating device, and play like freaking GameCube games on it. Like, that's cool. Like, that's awesome that you can even have that option. So as a piece of hardware, it's fine. I do wish they would have like, maybe done something more with the controller, which even Phil Spencer came out and said, I kind of wish we did that too. The DualSense is pretty sick. He said that right at the beginning of the generation. So that's really my only gripe from a hardware perspective. But it's like what John said. It's like we're just waiting, continuing to wait.
Yeah, it's kind of like you guys have said everything that I was thinking. It's just, and then kind of speaking on the other part of it, are they on their last ditch efforts?
Yeah, it's
hard to say right now because it kind of in a way ties into some of what we talked about last week.
Yeah,
with they've got their showcase coming up, and honestly, that whatever that showcase is and whatever they show off at it is going to
Make or break.
drastically sway my opinion on if I give a shit about Xbox
I was
anymore.
about to say, so more or less based on these reports of hearing that the fact that Xbox's big name titles and first party titles are for sure looking at possibly going to PS5 or other consoles and whatnot, and more or less gives me a thought of like it may not necessarily be their last ditch effort, but maybe looking at more or less how we heard from what we heard, people were hearing that it was being more called Microsoft Gaming instead of Xbox, and just more transition into something different. Still slightly gaming related, but not as big as focus on first parties and doing what Phil Spencer's always done of
Play anywhere.
play anywhere and focusing more of a just gathering up developers and getting all their stuff on as much as they can be on.
Yeah. The other thing is, I mean, after the Xbox One era and now in the Xbox Series era, where PlayStation is still absolutely destroying
Yeah.
in terms of like moving consoles.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
I mean, after essentially almost 2 generations, you got to look at it and be like, we kind of have to at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like they kind of have to move it over, try to get some of their big names. It was like these will only ever be on Xbox. It's like, well, nobody's buying an Xbox, so we got to send them out to someone else, to the other company, so that people can actually play it.
Let me ask you, with that sort of mindset, like, do you think they could, like, we'll use Halo as the example. Like, let's say they move Halo Infinite to PS5. Do you think that could be a possibility? And then when the next Halo comes out, it goes back to being Xbox only and just try to get people interested in the IP kind of thing, or re-interested in the IP or something? Like, or do you see this like just being permanent, where it's just like Halo Infinite comes to PS5? Well, guess what? The next Halo is going to be on the PS5 or the PS6 as well.
I feel like it's more or less what I was saying, more or less a thing of seeing where they're going with this. Because, I mean, if they are for sure wanting to do sort of a stance change on that, it would be weird for me, in just my mind, if they went, so yeah, Halo's out on everything else, and Infinite now 6 is going to be an exclusive again. I mean, I could see it maybe being exclusive for a limited time, but I feel like if once they start this precedent of anything could go to any console, they're going to go into it and put it on anything.
No, in my personal opinion, they're gonna do Sony's thing, 6-month exclusive to Sony, like the way Sony does like PC stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We've had 2 games ever come out day and date on like PlayStation and PC.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do that. They make you buy it on their console, and then they release it 6 months to a year later to everything else.
That's probably what will happen.
And
that makes the most sense.
It has served them very well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they are sitting over there at Xbox and going, well, Sony's been doing good, why don't we just do what they did?
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
Right.
And yeah, you could give them Halo Infinite and then just do the same thing where it's like, okay, well, the next Halo game, it will come out on whatever the PlayStation console is at the time. It'll be there. It'll just be 6 months. So if you want to jump in immediately and play with your friends, come over to Xbox.
Mm-hmm. I will also say, like, just from like kind of the vibe that I have around this conversation and seeing people's conversation around, like, you know, insiders or reports or whatever, like, I really do get the vibe that, you know, because I know you said, you know, John, for this showcase, it will kind of make or break on if you give a shit about Xbox or not. I really feel like this showcase and the rest of this year and this upcoming Call of Duty launch is like really a unbelievably massive defining moment for Xbox as a brand. Because, like, if they are going to go ahead and rock with Call of Duty on Game Pass day one, which I'm not going to sit here and say that I see it as a bad idea. You know, I mean, realistically, I don't think it is. It makes sense. They own the property now and everything, you know. But based on all of their conversations, that wasn't going to be a thing. It was going to be sold. So I kind of see it as like, you know, we have the showcase. They show off what they've been working on. We get some actual release dates. We get maybe some games come out this year. And then COD drops in October on Game Pass. And we'll see what kind of numbers that does for Game Pass subscribers. You know what I mean? Like, and if it's anything lackluster, if it's garbage, then I could see 2026 being a very interesting year for Xbox. You see, you know my point. Like, it's just like the vibe around this whole thing feels like this year is a defining year for this console and this brand.
And like the topic of like Call of Duty going to Game Pass. Would that be beneficial to the average Game Pass person? Maybe. It's one of those things. It's like, how many times have you scrolled through Game Pass and you download something just because you were like, oh, I didn't know that was on here. It's like
Plenty of times for me.
I think you must be the exception over there. But yeah, it's like I'll scroll through and I'll see games and I'll check it out. I'll download it. I'll either download it on my PC or my Xbox, wherever I happen to see it. Or I'll see it and I'm like, okay, well let me look on the other, like on my console, and I'll download it there. But as we've kind of seen recently, pushing Game Pass numbers doesn't necessarily mean that Xbox is happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't matter if they like hit the same numbers that have been hit with like previous COD games. It's like, okay, well that's all Game Pass numbers. And yeah, Game Pass numbers and actual purchase copies are not equivalent, especially in the eyes of Xbox.
Right.
I mean, they would like people to. I'm sure they love people playing on Game Pass, but it's one of those where I don't see that it necessarily makes the same sense as a lot of other games to go on Game Pass. Because at the end of the day, yeah, COD's not near as popular as it used to be. At least like the released official Call of Duty copies and versions. They may not be as popular as they used to be. They may not just like blow up immediately. They still do good numbers.
Yeah.
It's like people still want to play it because at the end of the day, it's still one of the best like just FPS experiences you can get, regardless of the stale gameplay loop or everything being fed into Warzone or something like that. At the end of the day, gunplay is fun, and that's what you want in FPS.
Yeah. FPS fans are going to get their experience, so that's why it's always going to move. Man, a couple of things that I've thought about is just like when it comes to everything going on with Xbox, it's like two things. One, man, it really feels like Xbox never recovered from the Xbox One reveal, first off. And then two, man, Xbox 360 just feels like a fever dream at this point. It's like that was just lightning in a bottle that just worked out beautifully, and it's just been downhill ever since. Well, it's weird. It's weird to think about.
It was the opposite thing in the Xbox 360 era. Sony made the weird decisions.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then kind of just we're like, okay, well, we made our bed. Let's lie in it for this generation. And then the next, it came around again, and instead of just still trying to recover that, they're just like, yeah, it is what it is. We'll get you next time. And they've just watched like Xbox flounder.
Yeah.
Instead of like trying to just move and focus on, or like be like, okay, we're gonna neutralize the damage as much as we can from the Xbox One, but focus on what comes next. They're just still in recovery mode.
Yeah.
And they've just never left.
Yeah, they really haven't, man. I'm telling you, the reveal of the Xbox One, it feels like they've never recovered. The moment of, the Xbox One being revealed by the former head, where it's just like you always have to be online and stuff, and everyone's just like, I don't like that.
And that's super backlash.
Yeah, and then he's just like, well, an alternative solution that we have is called the Xbox 360. It's like, oh my God, talk about nuking your own brand. Holy shit. And they've just never recovered from that, man. It's so weird to think about that one moment in history has, in my opinion, still led us to where we are today, where they've just never recovered. It's unfortunate. In terms of Xbox being in panic mode, I think yes, but I don't think it's like panic mode where they're going to nuke everything right now. Like I said, I feel like this year will be the defining year. The showcase will be a defining showcase. COD going to Game Pass, if it does, will be a defining moment to see if like if they get a large like increase of Game Pass subscribers, or maybe console sales or something like that. Because like in terms of console sales, it's not like outstanding, but I did see that with the recent apparent news, since the news popped that it was probably going to go to Game Pass, Series X's have started going up in sales. just recently, like on like Amazon and a couple other sites like that. It's gone from like, oh, people are just buying it to like, oh, this is hot. This is a hot item right now. This many has been sold in the last 24 hours, whatever. So who knows? This could save it. I don't know. Xbox is a shit show. I don't have a lot of faith.
I don't
We'll see.
know why, but I thought like you were like, yeah, this item's hot right now. I'm like, oh, so they're probably getting close to Switch numbers for the month, even though every household owns 2 Switches.
At least 2, if not 3.
Xbox had a hot month, still can't outsell Nintendo.
Nope. A console that came out in 2017 can't outsell it. Not even close.